War has broken out in the Middle East, and as investors, we have to consider how to best protect our portfolios. Now, what's interesting to see is that markets have actually shrugged off this news. As I am making this video, we are up about 0.4% on the S&P 500. However, there are some stocks that are doing even better. Unfortunately, the relative state of peace that we have witnessed over the last 70 years is an anomaly in human history. Which is why a few weeks ago, I wrote a report on a stock that could do very well in case of geopolitical tensions. Now we can see from the chart of this stock that we already saw a big bump after the beginning of the Ukraine war. And following the recent developments in the Middle East, we can see that the stock is up around 4%. This stock is a defense contractor operating from the UK, and it is involved in providing various services and products to militaries around the world. One of the things I love about this company is that it has a great geographic distribution. As we can see here, they have received about 20% of their revenues from the UK, 44% from the US, 13% from Europe, 17% from the Middle East, and also some revenues from Japan and Australia. Now, for better and for worse, an increase in defense spending is one of the few things that we can count on. As we can see, Statista projects that US spending in military defense will reach about $1 trillion by 2030. The company that I'm talking about is, of course, BAE Systems. This company trades in the UK, but it is also available to US investors through the ADR BAE Systems, which has the ticker BAESY. Now, for those of you that follow me on SUBSTACK, where I do my free weekly newsletter and I also do in-depth reports, I talked about this stock a while ago, and I mentioned that I was including this in my end-of-the-world portfolio. Now, the companies that I introduced to this portfolio have a specific set of characteristics that, in my opinion, make them really good for holding long-term. So let's look at why BAE Systems is such a good fit. First of all, of course, we have secular growth. BAE Systems is not going to grow 30 or 40% in a year, but it is going to deliver constant rates of growth throughout the next decade and probably further on. This will be thanks to slow increases in government spending, which will of course be directed towards defense, and also thanks to technological advancements. The other reason I really like BAE Systems is that it has a moat around its business. The defense market isn't exactly rife with competition. It takes a long time to build the kind of infrastructure that BAE Systems has, which allows it to deliver contracts to the military, to build out submarines and also aircrafts. On the other hand, we also have revenue resilience. Like I mentioned before, BAE Systems receives its revenues from various countries around the world, which makes its sources of revenue robust and resilient over time. Lastly, if we look at the valuation, we can also see that it has a pretty favorable valuation. This is actually the case with a lot of international stocks when compared to US stocks. Now, one of the things I love about this stock is that it has a PEG of about 0.35. And of course, any PEG that is below 1, in theory, should indicate that a stock is undervalued. Lastly, based on a discounted cash flow analysis I did a few weeks ago, I believe BAE Systems could be undervalued by about close to 40%. So like I mentioned, the stock is up around 4% today following the recent news. And as tensions continue to grow, both in Ukraine, China, and the Middle East, I'm sure this stock is going to do very, very well in terms of revenues. So if you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe, and also go ahead and check me out on SUBSTACK. The link will be on the description.